Hi, this is Jason from Corpse Slug Gaming, and you are watching Chris, the old ass retro gamer. Enjoy.
What is up, everybody? Chris, the old ass retro gamer here. Back for part 4 of my Sony PlayStation 2 video game collection 2023 live streams. Number 4, Quattro Formaggio. What's up? What's up, Mondane? Yeah. So, the entire 4th shelf of my PlayStation 2 collection going down tonight. What's up, Peter? Just left the book signing. Was it Chuck Norris? Did your mom embarrass you? Probably not. Anyway, so got some cool stuff to talk about tonight. But I just realized like 2 days ago that I've kind of neglected talking about why I do these live streams, the part that everybody loves the most. So there's 4 reasons. 1, get to talk to awesome people. 2, it's better. It's more content for the channel. Number 3, it's not to brag. It's to have a good record of everything in my collection just in case something bad happens. And number 4, it's fun. Am I creeping you out yet? Hope not. Anyway, so got some cool stuff to discuss tonight. And you're getting 2 streams within the space of a week for me because Sunday is the end of the month. That means it's going to be the pickup stream on Sunday. Got some cool stuff to talk about, some movies, some games. It's going to be kind of rad. But anyway, let's talk about these PlayStation 2 joints. If only had clown makeup on, I can arrange that. Anyway, first thing I'm going to talk about is No One Lives Forever, or sorry, the operative No One Lives Forever. I always forget that this is not actually titled No One Lives Forever. The operative is the name. This is a PC game that got ported over to the PS2. I remember hearing a lot about it back in the day and never ended up buying a copy. I always wanted it, never really saw it anywhere, if I remember correctly. 2 streams in 1 week. Hell yeah. Yes, the convention must-haves video was pretty cool. And I do feel it was for Retro Rivals' benefit. I wish I could run into them at a convention. That'd be cool. But it's a first-person shooter that's kind of like a 1960s spy movie, if I remember correctly. I had not played it much. I tried it out once I got it. I got this at my new local retro shop, Video Games Then and Now, and got it for a very good price, if I remember right. And it was pretty fun when I played it, and it worked. So I'm going to definitely dive into this at some point because I love me a good first-person shooter. The only thing that really sucked, and I remember this the most, is that when the store that I go to, Mondane knows about this because the game that I sent him in the mail as a gift was taped shut. The store that I go to now, they tape the games shut so no one can steal the stuff that's inside because they don't keep the discs or the manuals behind the counter. They keep everything in the case. They just tape it shut so you can't open it up and steal the discs out. So I didn't get a chance to look at the disc when I bought it because when I got it home and I opened it up, turns out this was like a Blockbuster rental and it has this Blockbuster rental sticker all over it, which sucks. But they do have a resurfacer at the store, and the disc looks brand spanking new. So that's something. But need to dive into that one at some point. Like I said, I love the first-person shooters. Here is, I do believe this was a launch title for the PS2 because I don't think I bought it. I think my friend Tom that I used to hang out with back then, he had this one because I don't remember having this until way later, but he got a PS2 before I did, and I remember his brother playing this, so I think he got it before I did. But it is Orphan Scion of Sorcery. It is an action RPG, I do believe. I don't think this is a straight-up RPG. But I have not played this in so damn long. I don't think I've played this since I first got my PlayStation 2 back in, 2001 or whatever it was. But, yeah, I remember it not being the greatest, which is probably why I didn't play it a whole lot. But, whatevs. And I do believe this is based on an anime of some kind. I could be wrong, but yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to take it up, but I was just pissed that it was there. Pissed. Because I remember ruining a disc like that back in the day. So, yeah. Next up, we have a very inferior sequel to a very cool video game. I remember being super excited about this coming out, ran out on day one to buy it, brought it home, and I was like, you guys dropped the ball big time on this one. And that's Parappa the Rapper 2. I love me a good rhythm game. I think they are super fun. It's one of my favorite, I want to call it like a guilty pleasure, but it's like one of those palate cleanser kind of genres where if I've been playing too many games of one genre, I'll pop like a rhythm game in and it just rejuvenates me. This one didn't quite do it. The songs in this kind of suck, if you ask me. They're not nearly as catchy or well written as the ones from the first game, or even Jammer Lammy for that matter. I was like super bummed about this one when it came out. Like I remember playing it, and it was kind of like when I played Way of the Warrior for the 3DO for the first time. Remember, I sold all of my Sega CD and Sega Genesis stuff in order to get a 3DO just so I could play Way of the Warrior. And from the moment I started playing it, I was just kind of like, I wasted my money and my time and my excitement, and it just, like, my heart sank the longer I played it. It's kind of the same with this. I was, like, super excited and hyped over it, and then the more I played, the more I was just kind of like, wow, this is kind of terrible. And it kind of ended the franchise right here because it was not that great. Not even the more power that the PlayStation 2 had going on could help it as far as I was concerned. The gameplay is relatively unchanged. It's just like the music was not good. Really annoyed me. But, good for the soul. Well, you're a musician, dude. Of course you'd say that, but I happen to agree with you. I don't know much about this. I remember I bought this at Half Price Books, and I think they didn't realize that this was kind of like a pricier RPG. So I snagged it because I caught him slipping. But it's Phantom Brave. I had never seen this before, never even heard of it. I saw NIS America on the cover when I was at the Half Price Books and was like, ooh, like $8? Coming with me? Still haven't played it, though. So I cannot comment. But these are usually kind of niche RPGs that NIS America releases and stuff like that. So I'm sure it's okay. But I could not tell you much about it. Yeah, if the music sucks, then it ain't worth it. And the music in, I think, Parappa the Rapper 2 is pretty awful. Licensed game because me. We got Pirates of the Caribbean, Legend of the Legend of Jack Sparrow. So this came out, I do believe, long after the movie. And if I had glasses, I could probably tell you when, but I cannot read this fine freaking print. Yeah, I don't remember this coming out at the same time the movie did. I think this came out like long after, which is why it's not called The Legend of the Black Pearl or The Curse of the Black Pearl. This is a beat 'em up that has you playing as Jack Sparrow. It's 3D. It's not bad. And the funny thing about it is it was made by Bethesda. They made this and a Pirates game for the Xbox, which is like an exploration RPG kind of game, which is really kind of cool. I'll talk about that when I get to that console. But I remember finding this, I think, for $1 at that Half Price Books warehouse sale. And I picked it up because it was there, and me and licensed games. That was pretty much all I found there were licensed games. But yeah, like I said, I never heard of it, didn't know anything about this. So when I saw it, I snagged it. And I was wondering, like, is this like a foreign game? Is this like from Japan? No, it was released in the US. So yeah, sure. No clue that existed. And I keep on mentioning these games that I bought for a penny on Amazon. The seller must have been selling these games through Amazon for a penny, but he was making the money on the shipping. and taking the shipping money for himself, because he's probably doing the same thing I was doing at GE when I was there. Whenever I would sell something on eBay, I would take it to our shipping department, print out a label, ship it through there, make the company pay for it, and I pocketed the shipping costs. So one of the games I picked up that way was The Plan, but for some reason the E in the is a 3, because I think there's 3 characters. It's still sealed. I have not opened it, so I really can't comment about the game itself. So it looked kind of cool. It's like a third-person type of game. It just says somebody's going to pay when a band of thieves conspire to steal 2 paintings in exchange for a valuable diamond. I can't read this. It is so dark. It doesn't look dark in here, people, because the computer is kind of compensating. I have a yellow light over here to help balance the white levels of my main lamp, but it is actually kind of dark in here, and I really can't read that well in this light. For valuable diamond, one member succumbs to greed and betrays the rest. The person left behind has had 5 years to plan his revenge. Now you'll have to mastermind his escape from prison. Whatever. Took too long for me to read that because my eyes suck. But it looks okay. And like I said, it was a penny, so I wasn't going to pass that up. You know, it might help. I found this out yesterday on YouTube, that all phones, including iPhones and Samsungs like mine, have a specific voice activation that lets you turn on the light that's your flash for your camera. And are you ready for this? I'm going to talk into my microphone. Lumos. Turned off. Lumos. What are you, really? Turn off flashlight. Let's try that again. Lumos. All cell phones, I think, do this. That's actually really bright. Shit, I might use that to read shit from now on. Ah, damn. Yeah, I saw somebody do it to an iPhone last night on some YouTube short. And I was like, I wonder if my phone will do that. And I tried it, and bam, it did it. Say Knox. Oh, Knox turns it off? Okay, let's try that again. Lumos. Knox. That's awesome. Oh, I feel like I'm a little kid. Anyway, leave me alone. Let me turn my ringer off. What's up, J-Chip? How's it going? Next up, we have Primal. And this was a game I remember renting from Blockbuster back in the day. And I thought it was kind of cool. It's like a 3D platform action game where you can turn into different monsters and stuff. You play as this female protagonist up here, and you can like shapeshift into other creatures depending on the situation. I didn't get very far in it back in the day, but I liked it enough that when I found this, I think at Half Price Books or Disc Replay or whatever it was, I was like, oh yeah, that! You're coming with me because I kind of remember enjoying you. So I picked it up, haven't played it since, so I could not tell you more about it. I just remember it being like a 3D platform beat-em-up kind of thing. And it was kind of neat. I think that was one that was released by Sony. Yeah, Sony released this. So that was a second-party game, I guess, or whatever. Next up we have Project Snowblind. This is another first-person shooter, and I remember people online, when I first got back into collecting, talking about this game being kind of awesome. Never played it back in the day, but I hear it's pretty rad, so when I found it dirt cheap out there, I picked it up, and it looks kind of cool. I'll have to give it a shot. So I have not played it, except to test it out to make sure that it worked. Yeah. This I have played quite a bit. Yeah, I remember I rented it the one time, but I remember enjoying it, so I actually need to try it again. I got The Punisher. So this was kind of weird because it's rated M, but it's still censored when it comes to violence. So You're playing as Frank Castle. I don't remember exactly what the mission is or what the whole point is. You're just going after gangsters, if I remember correctly. But you can like interrogate, you can capture and like interrogate bad guys, and you can do like these coup de grace kind of moves. You can like finish them off when you're done interrogating them, or if you pin somebody down, you can actually like do a coup de grace. And 9 times out of 10, the screen turns black and white when it happens. It is so weird that I'm like, if you thought the game was going to be like ultra violent, maybe you should have gone for the adults only rating. I think would have covered it because the stuff that goes on in here is not that nasty. So can't really say, but I remember it being a pretty rad 3D like run and gun beat 'em up kind of game. And Jeremiah, who I do my podcast with, the movie is starting. Like this is his favorite game of all time. Like I remember on my old show that I used to do on YouTube, Toasty, with my buddy Josh, we had Jeremiah on a couple of times as a guest, and we wanted him to talk about comic booky things because that's Jeremiah's main focus and his interests. And we were like, hey, talk about a comic book video game. And he was like, that game, The Punisher, 100%. So, almost to the S games. You're looking for something specific, Mondane? The part where you cut people in half with the window was my favorite. I don't remember that one. I do remember drilling someone in the head. And I do remember like shotgunning someone's head off. The Godfather game? Oh, okay, you are. Next up, we have another one of those games that I got for a penny off of Amazon, and that is Puzzle Quest Challenge of the Warlords. I had played this. I think I had downloaded this onto my 360. I think it was either my 360 or my PS3, and because I had some credit or something for the store, the digital store, and I downloaded it, and I would play it on and off, and I was like, it's a jewel matching game, like Bejeweled or whatever it is. So I was kind of like, yeah, it was kind of fun as a distraction if I just wanted to play something really casual, but it's kind of like an RPG version because there's like a storyline that you have to play through in it. So I was like, all right, this is kind of strange, and it kept my interest for, I think, a couple of weeks before I was just kind of like, okay, I think I've had enough. But like when I found this for a penny on Amazon, I was like, yeah, sure, just give it to me. I didn't realize this got released on the PS2. I thought it was a 360 PS3 generation thing. I didn't realize it came before. At the same time, those consoles were relevant. This was probably still in production anyway, so it doesn't matter. I got it for a penny. So like I said, it's a jewel matching game that's also kind of like an RPG. So it's very strange, but I really like it. And these games have taken off ever since. There are so many of these like available for the phones now. But yeah, it's still sealed. Haven't actually played this version of it, but I have played Puzzle Quest before. Let me see if I can take a guess. Let me look at what I got here and see. I think I might have an idea. We'll see if I'm right. Next up, we have Raiden 3. I think this just got a re-release on the PS5 because I've been messing around on PlayAsia a lot lately while I'm at work. I actually have like a bunch of stuff coming from them for next month's pickup stream. And I do remember seeing like a Raiden 3 available for the PS5. I didn't pick it up or anything, but it's a vertically scrolling shmup. I think there's 5 games in this series now, plus a bunch of spin-offs. I know I have Raiden Aces on the 360 and all that. But yeah, these games are always pretty fun, pretty hectic. They're not like bullet hell style. They're just like a standard vertically scrolling shmup. But can't go wrong with these. Raiden's always a good time if you like shooters or shoot 'em ups. Next up, we have, the update to Rampage. We have Rampage Total Destruction. So we had Rampage back in the day, and then we had Rampage World Tour, which was like the first big update in the arcade, and then we have the update to that for the home consoles because arcades are dead at this point in time, basically. But same exact thing. You're playing as a bunch of monsters. You climb up buildings, demolish them by punching, kicking, eating, whatever you can, destroy all of the buildings on screen, possibly beat the shit out of another monster if you're playing multiplayer, and get all the points, move on to the next town, country, whatever it is. It's really fun. There's a new monster in here, and it's this alien-y looking thing, but you still have Lizzie and Ralph and all that. George, Lizzie, and Ralph are back along with 27 new monsters that you can collect and play as. That's cool. And from what I can tell, it also has the classic arcade version built into it. So that's a kind of rad. So I've always liked Rampage. It does get a little stale after a while because, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, you're climbing a building, you're punching, building falls, attached to another building, jump, climb up, punching, building collapses, move on to the next one. It's just over and over and over and over again. So it does get old quickly, but with multiple players and like when you're playing with multiple people, you can actually punch the shit out of each other. And now that has like 27 other characters you can play as, that might actually stave off the boredom a little bit. What's up, Anna? How's it going? I miss arcades too, man. I used to go to arcades. I used to go to Chuck E. Well, it wasn't Chuck E. Cheese by me. By me, it was Showbiz Pizza. And we used to go to Showbiz Pizza when I was a little kid for every one of my birthdays because they had the arcade, they had the robotic animal show, the musical show, and all that, and like the ball pit and all that stuff, kind of stuff. It was just super cool back then. And then as an adult, I would go to that GameWorks, and now that's gone. So the only arcades that are left are like barcades. Luckily, I have one within walking distance to my place. So you guys come to visit, Mondane or Waves and Games, or anybody comes to visit, J-Chip, there's a barcade right down the street we can go to and have a grand old time. And if you're vegan, they serve vegan food. So next up, we have Ratchet Deadlock. This was they did the original trilogy on the PS2. Then for some reason, Sony decided to like split the characters up. So Ratchet got his own game and Clank got his own game. And Clank's game was on the PSP and Ratchet's game was on the PS2, if I remember right. I don't think this got ported to the PSP either. I don't think so. But it's just another, standard Ratchet and Clank game, just without the Clank. But so it's a 3D platformer, beat 'em up kind of game. And from what I understand, it's not too bad. It's still made by Insomniac, so the original creators are still involved. But it's got to be Ratchet and Clank. It's the original duo, man. They need to be together. We can watch Blue Crush. Oh, no. We will watch Gleaming the Cube. Next. Oh, excuse me. I'm basically over the bronchitis, but if I exhale too quickly or something, it sets it off. Next up, we have Raw Danger. I picked this up at the Midwest Gaming Classic 2019, I want to say, at the Makes Sense Variety Store, which is kind of down the street from the convention center. I used to go there every time I would go to the Midwest Gaming Classic. I would go there like the Friday that I would get to the convention. I would grab, Church and Jason from Corpse Flood, and we would head out over there. We go there on Friday, then go and get dinner afterwards. And I found this there, and it's a disaster escape game. It's weird. Japanese made some cool shit. Disaster Report, as I think what this franchise is called in Japan. So basically, it's like there's a natural disaster, and you have to get out of the city alive. And it's like a lot of platforming, and you got to rescue other survivors and stuff like that. A lot of puzzle solving kind of things. And the reason it's weird is because it was called Disaster Report in Japan, but over here, each game in the series got like a completely different, unrelated name, which is strange. Like this one's Raw Danger, and I think we finally got Disaster Report 4 for the PSVR, which I have. But I was lucky to find this. I know Radical Reggie really enjoys these games, and it got put on my radar because he was talking to me about it one time during one of our streams, and I got really interested. This is the only one I've been able to find aside from the one for the PSVR that I have. But it looks rad as hell, but I need to try it out. Wife made you a shirt. Midwest Gaming Classic. Yeah, dude, I've been to Mo Game Con. That's real small and intimate, and I've been to Midwest Gaming Classic, which is gigantic. And the weird thing is Captain Algebra has gone to too many games on the East Coast. What is that, in Pennsylvania or whatever it is? And he said that convention completely overwhelmed him. There were so many people there, so many people crowding all the tables that it kind of gave him anxiety kind of thing. And he's like, that's why I come to the Midwest Gaming Classic, because it is so spaced out in the vendor's hall, and you never really have to fight people over looking at a table kind of thing, because everything is so well designed and spaced out and placed. So it is a fantastic convention. Next up, I talked about the first game in this series. I have it on the Dreamcast. This is RC Revenge Pro. So this is like a 3D version of RC Pro-Am. You're playing as a bunch of remote control cars, racing around, doing that kind of thing. Yay. It's not the greatest, but I got this, and I do remember getting this at Disc Replay for like $1.50. I miss that store so much. Like I said, it was either last week or the week before. Every single time I would go to Disc Replay, it could be twice within the space of a week. Brand new stuff out on the shelves. All of it was super underpriced. I would just go in there to browse. I walk out with like 20 games in a bag. It was nuts. But found this one there, and I picked it up because I had the Dreamcast version. I've been to Dragon Con. I went to Dragon Con in 2007. Met a couple of the stars of Star Trek The Next Generation. I met Gates McFadden, Brent Spiner, and Jonathan Frakes. Frakes and Spiner were cool. Gates McFadden insulted me. She doesn't seem like she's very nice. Saw a bunch of the cast, ran into a bunch of the cast, literally slammed into one of them from a bunch of people from Stargate SG-1 and Stargate Atlantis, like literally slammed into him and had a couple of them yell at me because of it. Who else did I see? A bunch of people from Serenity / Firefly. Got a picture taken with Lori Petty. Got an autograph from her. She was really sick when I met her. So it was kind of sad because she had to like lean on me in order to stand up. I met, I can't remember what her name is, but she was on Dead Like Me. She was the lead on Dead Like Me, which was a show I loved. Got her autograph, got a picture with her. It was a really good time. Spent a ton of money there. Pissed off the friends that I was with because they only wanted to eat at one restaurant in Atlanta, and that was Steak and Ale. They wanted to eat there every night. I'm like, I am not spending $60 every night for dinner. You out of your fucking mind. I'm going somewhere else. And that pissed off like the guy who was like the guy who was thinking of himself as like the leader of the group, pissed him off. And then they ended up all following me as I walked down the street looking for someplace else to eat. And I was like, well, the Hard Rock Cafe over here isn't too busy. Let's go in there. Or I'm going to go in there. And they all followed me, and they all looked like especially the lead guy, was just glaring at me the whole time like he was mad because he was like, "Oh, would you rather be at Steak and Ale?" I'm like, I didn't say you couldn't go. I said I didn't want to go. Like, this is your problem right now. This is not my problem. This is your problem. But like, and we ended up going there the first night we were there and the last night we were there, or to the Steak and Ale. And the last night we were there, it took us 2 hours to get a seat. Oh, it was a nightmare, which is what I was afraid of. But anyway, getting back to Ellen Muth. Yes, she was very nice. Very tiny, very, very tiny. From Ellen Muth from Dead Like Me. You want to hug everyone from Firefly? I got an autograph from Ron Glass, the guy who played Preacher Book, and the guy who played Badger, I think was his character's name. He was like the handler in the pilot episode. He was there. Oh God, I have pictures on my YouTube, my Facebook profile. Check them out. Next up, we have Red Faction, the first game in this series, which just got a bunch of remasters. This is a first-person shooter where you're like part of a rebellion, a miners' rebellion on Mars. I never actually beat it back in the day, but I got pretty far, and I really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. I can see why the franchise kept going. Then there was Red Faction 2, which sadly I do not own. Maybe on the Xbox? I don't know. I have to look. But I don't own it for the PS2. And then I got Red Faction Guerrilla, which is one of my favorite games of all time. I need to get that remaster of it. And then they did Armageddon, which was kind of awesome too. You have that gun that can put things back together after they've been demolished, which is kind of rad as hell. But real fun first-person shooter. Set off a franchise that I hope keeps on going. We need a new game. Yeah, if you look in my photos, you'll see like the albums. There's like convention photos, and you'll see all the photos from Dragon Con in there, and Gen Con. Next up we have, I think, is a complete diamond in the rough for this console. It is kind of fantastic. I learned about it from Uncle Derek, on Stop Skeletons from Fighting. And I was like, oh, that sounds kind of interesting. Let me make sure that it's not a $100 freaking game. No, it was like $13 on eBay, so I bought it. That is the Red Star. If you love Contra, you will love this game. You can choose between 3 different characters. I think there was 3 different characters to play as. Each of them has different weapons and abilities. And it's a run and gun, a 3D run and gun that is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love this. I talked Jason from Corpse Blood Gaming into putting it on his backlog roulette for the Super Enabler Brothers podcast, if I remember correctly. That I remember talking about it to him. He was like, I'm going to put that on my list. And it is awesome. I've played maybe through half of this, and I love it, but I got stuck, and I could not get past a certain part. But with me, I'll probably pick it back up and breeze through it on the first try like I always do. It is a fantastic game. I highly recommend you pick up a copy of it. You will not be disappointed. Were you like, hey, Virginia? From what? Oh, Virginia Hay? Oh, I saw Claudia Black because she was there with all of the Stargate people. And my buddy Charlie actually met a bunch of the people from Farscape. He met Virginia Hay. He had a picture with her. He said he actually stood there and talked to her for like a good 20 minutes or whatever because no one else was looking for her autograph. But, yeah. Next up, one of the crimes of the century, or this so far, the 2000s or the 2020s, is that we have not gotten a remaster of this yet, because this is one of my favorite games in this franchise, and we have been robbed because we should have gotten this instead of the one that just came out, and that is Resident Evil Code Veronica X. Code Veronica originally came out on the Dreamcast as a timed exclusive, eventually came to the PS2, and then I think the GameCube and everything else. I absolutely love this Resident Evil game. It is fantastic. For some reason, Capcom decided to completely ignore this one when it came to all these remakes that they're making. They went straight from 3 to 4 when it should have been 3. Excuse me. 3, this, and then 4. We was robbed. I was robbed. I want a remake of this. I love the story in this one, the action. Yeah, it's your standard Resident Evil style tank controls and all that stuff that you know from the first 3 games in the series. But this one kind of like did a lot of really cool things. Like it introduced a lot of characters, like the twins and all that. I love it. I absolutely love it. And this one has the Devil May Cry bonus demo in it. I need to sit down and play through this again. Both discs intact. This is, I do believe, my original copy that I bought back when it first got released. Never actually sold it because, like I said, this is probably my second favorite Resident Evil game. We was robbed. Not the available. Yeah, they're sons of bitches. I still haven't bought that damn Resident Evil 4 remake. You assholes. Give me my money. Give me my stuff. Next up, we have Rez, which I have on, I think, 3 different consoles now. This is a really awesome rhythm game from Sega where you're like in this virtual reality wonderland. And as you're flying through it, it's kind of like, what is it? Omega Boost, I guess, where like you have like a reticle on the screen that's your aiming reticle, and you move it over the enemies that are coming at you, and you highlight them all, then you let go of the attack button, and you release like shots that take all of them out. It is super fun. It's like a half rhythm game and a half into the screen shmup. It is really, really cool, and the version that I beat is the version I have for the PSVR. Playing this game in VR, chef's kiss. It is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I've never actually owned the PS2 version before, and then I randomly found this at Half Price Books, and I was like, you know what? I may have beaten it already on the PSVR, but I don't care. I'm taking you home because you the goods, brah. So absolutely love it. Love it, love it, love it. And the music is fantastic, too. If you can find the soundtrack out there somewhere, I recommend downloading it. It is kind of amazing. I got this. I think I found this in the discount or like the clearance section at Half Price Books. It's like right by the bathrooms. So while I'm standing over there looking at these, I can smell the dookie coming from next door. And I was like, I like this fridge. God, I haven't coughed all day until now. I like this franchise, which is why I was willing to buy it, but it was $1, so who gives a crap? That's Ridge Racer 5. Honestly, still haven't played it. Surprised that for a clearance game, it still had the manual and everything, and the disc does not look like it's been up somebody's butt. It is a little dirty. I mean, it has smudges all over it, but it is not all scratched up. It's one of those blue discs. Ooh, we've got copy protection. Didn't work. But yeah, just another Ridge Racer racing game. Yippee skippy. For $1, I didn't give a crap. Metal Hellsinger is a Doom-like. Yeah, I do have that on order, I do believe. Please take a break and get a drink. It's just, if I exhale too fast, it makes me cough. Next up we have, I talked about the first game in the franchise, which ended with this one I got in my hand last week. That was the Mark of Kree. We've got the follow-up, Rise of the Kasai, which now lets you play as a different character alongside the one from the first movie, or the first game, almost called it a movie. And it's a 3D beat-em-up, which is pretty rad. I enjoyed the first one quite a bit, so when the second one came out, I don't remember jumping on this one right away, but I eventually picked it up. But I never really played it a whole lot for some reason. Like with me, it's like ADD with games. Like I'll play it, and then something else will be like, "Oh, new shiny! Now I got to go play that." What was that thing I was playing before? I forgot. You know, kind of thing. I don't know why. But fantastic series. I wish it would make a comeback. Water is important. I gotta hydrate. Dude, you have no idea how much water I drank today. I am surprised I am not pissing as I am talking. So where's our DVD? Oh. Next up we have, see this guy right here. We got Jet Li's Rise to Honor. And the next generation, we got the Chow Yun Fat video game. So this is a martial arts / gun game starring where you play as Jet Li. And it's kind of cool, but the controls are kind of weird because it requires, like, you use the left thumbstick to move and you use the right thumbstick to attack, if I remember right. So it's like if you're running towards somebody and you hit the up button, you'll punch at the guy or whatever. And if you hit down, you'll sweep or something. I remember the controls for this being very odd. And it kind of turned me off. I bought this on day one when it came out because I was like, Jet Li is the man. He almost kicked Riggs and Murtaugh's butts in Lethal Weapon 4. You know, yes. And then I play the game. I'm like, why did they do this with the controls? I don't get it. Why? Stop. No, pain. So I kind of gave up on it, but I'm willing to, well, I wanted to get it back in my collection because it's freaking Jet Li, but I am willing to give it a shot now because weird control schemes are interesting. So I had to do it for a reason, right? Whoops, no, that's the stack. So I picked this one up randomly, I do believe, at the exchange, and they were not charging an arm and a leg for it. But this is a spin-off of, what's it called? Harvest Moon. And it is called River King, A Wonderful Journey. And it's like Harvest Moon, but this one's all about fishing. So Tony, back in the day gamer, should be getting kind of a boner about this one right about now. Painting his juggalo makeup on, being like, "Ooh, guys, I gotta go fishing with the kids and the little raccoon dog." So, yeah, I haven't played it, but I found it super cheap, and I was like, you know what? I am not passing that up because I will never see that for the price that I got it for again. So, yay. This is a remake, but kind of also like it's weird. I don't know if it's supposed to be a sequel or a remake, but they added in something else that wasn't there originally. So we've got Robin Hood, Defender of the Crown. Defender of the Crown was a game that was available on the PC back in the day, or old computers, and then it came to the NES as Defender of the Crown. But now we've got Robin Hood, Defender of the Crown. So I don't know if it's a remake and they inserted Robin Hood into it, or if this is a sequel that is all about Robin Hood doing Defender of the Crown type things. But it's just a bunch of mini games usually. This one has, based on the original classic Defender of the Crown, multiple endings, different paths, determined by players' performance and decisions. But there's like the original one, it was like a bunch of mini games. It was kind of like you have jousting, you have sword fights, that kind of thing. This one looks like it has more of a story going on in it. So, yay. I have not tried it, have not played it, but it's by Cinemaware, the people that created it, the original game. And Capcom released this? What? Yeah, that's weird. Anyway, I'll probably give it a shot at some point. I mean, it's in my collection. I might as well. Got to go sing to the girls. Oh, God. Put the earplugs in. Peter's singing. Ah! This I played for like... I remember I played this at a friend's house for like a half an hour, and it started glitching on me. And I was just kind of like, yeah, I'm good. And that is Rocky. Licensed games, got to get it. I'm not a huge Rocky movie fan. Rocky 4 is okay because it's so freaking cheesy and silly. But yeah, after the fact, they released this one where not only are you fighting the characters from the movies, but a whole bunch of other characters as well. It's kind of got like a career mode with Rocky coming up from the nothing to, you know, the upper echelon of boxing. So yeah, you end up fighting Apollo Creed and Clubber Lang and Drago and all that kind of stuff. And you even have to do the training kind of things where you're beating up the sides of beef in the freezer and all that. But for some reason, the game is like really glitchy. Like you'll be fighting somebody and like all of a sudden the character model will just kind of like fall apart, or like the front skin of it will disappear and you just see some eyes and like the back skin is still moving around. It is the weirdest thing. And the sequel, I think, or the what is it, Rocky Legends or whatever, has the same kind of problem. But it's okay. I just wanted to have it because license. I still need to get Legends. I think I might actually have Legends for the Xbox. I got this off of eBay one year when I got my tax return. I wanted to get all of these like PS2 RPGs. So I picked this one up, and that is Rogue Galaxy. This one is on my list this year, but the way things are going so far, I'm barely going to scratch the surface of the games that I wanted to play this year because I've already kind of gotten derailed. Like I was playing Phantasy Star. I kind of stopped playing it halfway through for some reason. I started playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. Got derailed after playing that on stream a couple of times. So now I'm playing like Dead Space and Akami on the Xbox One. So who knows how many RPGs I'll actually be able to beat this year. Hopefully at least one. But anyway, this is like a sci-fi RPG, but it's like space pirates kind of thing. Literally, like you're flying around in a pirate ship in space. Okay. And everyone always tells me that this is a pretty rad RPG, so I had to pick it up. I picked this one up and Dark Cloud 1 and 2 at the same time because I wanted to have all of them. So I'm definitely going to attempt to play this year. When and if, I mean, it might even extend it to next year too. I don't know. I just got to knock some of these RPGs off my backlog because I keep buying them. They're building up. I need to play some of these things. Oh, God. Backlog. You're either going to kill me. Got a sticker on here I'm trying to get off. There we go. Bad sticker. I picked this one up, I know, at Half Price Books. That's RPG Maker 2 and RPG Maker 3. I had the first one on the original PlayStation. I heard about all the problems that you have with making games on that, especially when you do the dialogue, because you got to go through the little digital keyboard on screen and select all the words that you want to put, or the letters, and make, type everything out with a controller, which is not ideal. As far as I know, if I remember hearing correctly, that you can actually use a keyboard on these. But these are now in, was it 2? 2 is like in isometric views, a little bit of 3D, but this one is mostly like 3D dungeon crawl kind of things. So yeah, you get to make your own RPG, save it onto a hard or a memory card, and let one of your friends play it. And the franchise is actually still going because I just got one like a year ago on the PS4. Hell yeah. And this franchise is still going too, even though the title would say otherwise. But we got R-Type Final. I absolutely love R-Type. First R-Type game I ever played was Super R-Type on the Super Nintendo, and that game just like wowed me. The music, the gameplay, and how it set itself apart from all the other horizontally scrolling shmups by having that like option thing on the front of your ship that you can like blast ahead and take out some enemies and all that kind of stuff, and then you can like move around and have it follow you and take out more enemies. It was a really cool mechanic. And now this is fully 3Dized and all that kind of stuff, and it is quite rad. All these ships on the cover are ships you can unlock and play as at some point. It is nuts. And we just got a brand new game in this franchise, which I might have sitting on my coffee table right now. So absolutely fantastic. Supposed final game in the franchise. Nah, it's not. No, not even close. Nope. They lie. They fib. But absolutely love R-Type as a shmup franchise. Love it. I have a game that I'm still working on the story for over 10 years. God damn. Yeah, it requires a little bit more thought than your average shmup. Next up we have, Rumble Roses. This is a female-only wrestling game. There's even mud wrestling. It's a thing. I'm pretty sure a bunch of really lonely 13-year-olds saved up their allowance just so they can go home and spank it to that exposed butt cheek there. But it's actually not too bad. It's your standard wrestling game just with all female characters. Konami was not making bad games back in the day like that they kind of do now, or games at all. But this one was actually pretty decent and kind of fun, even though it's a little sexist. Boobies. This one I almost put on my. I just farted. Diamonds in the Rough on the PS2, and that is RLH Run Like Hell, Hunter Be Hunted. This is a really cool survival horror game that's in 3D, where you're basically on a space station running away from alien creatures that are trying to eat you, and it's actually pretty cool. It reminds me a little bit of like what ended up happening with was Alien Isolation, where it's more about the running instead of the shooting, which is why it's in the title. But it's a pretty fun survival horror style game. I remember really enjoying it back in the day. Haven't played it recently. I remember when I bought this copy of it, I tried it out to make sure it worked, and worked just fine. But I played the crap out of this back in the day. And this one, I don't think... No, I had this one back in the day also. But I never spent a whole lot of time playing. Yeah. So we got Rygar, the Legendary Adventures, which is essentially taking Rygar from the old Nintendo and / arcade game and turning it into God of War. So it's like a 3D beat 'em up, but you have like your little shield blade thing, and now it's on a chain that you can shoot out and swing around just like the blades that Kratos uses. So yeah, it's kind of a ripoff, but it's not too bad. It got kind of a second lease on life with this game, and then they released a sequel for the Wii, which is not too bad either. So yep. If you like God of War clones, there you go. So this I got to talk about because I got to get this. Okay. So Gen Con. Went to Gen Con in I went there 2 years in a row. I think it was like 2015 and 2016 were the last times I was there. Or 2016 and 2017, whatever. Not the place you go to for video games. It's a board game, card game, RPG, like Dungeons and Dragons convention. It's all about tabletop type gaming. And they have a auction house and a consignment store attached to the auction house there. So if you want to sell stuff at the con, you bring it to the auction house. They'll auction it off for you. You can say that if it doesn't sell at the auction, it can go into the consignment store next door. In the consignment store, anybody can just walk in there and buy whatever they have in the store at the time. So, like, I remember every single day I would go into that consignment store and I kept on finding video game stuff every single time, different stuff. As it was being auctioned off and not sold, it was going into the consignment store, and then I would buy it. I found some really cool stuff there. I found some expensive stuff, normally expensive kind of stuff that was actually not, like, the prices were really reasonable compared to what they go for online. And this was one of them. I remember I went there and I found a whole bunch of like RPGs on the PS2. I'm going to talk about a bunch of them, I think, later on tonight. And this was one of them. And this one was still in the big box, and it hadn't even been opened. Like, the box had been opened, but the game itself on the inside is still shrink-wrapped. And that is Sakura Wars. What is that? Sakura Wars So Long My Love. And I got this for, I think, like $35. And it is I think it's a tactical RPG. It might be. I don't know. I think it's a tactical RPG. Yeah, strategy RPG. And came with everything. And I opened it up and I was like, holy crap, not only is everything here, the game itself had never been opened before. So this is the limited edition version, I guess. And it comes with this art book, I think. Or it's like an extended, it's a hint book. And it is thick. I mean, look at that thing. That is thick. It also comes with the Little Lip Theater, New York, 1928. It's like a theater program, but it's all about the characters that are available in the game. And it comes with a poster. Cowgirl. And is that it? I think it comes with a soundtrack too. Soundtrack might be inside the game. I think it is. That's why this is so heavy. And then you got the game itself, which is still shrink wrapped. Or it's the original wrap. It's got like the cross wrap on the top. So yeah, sure. Found it dirt cheap compared to what it was going for online at the time, and I was not going to pass it up. I've never played a Security Wars game before this, and I still haven't because, like I said, it is still sealed. So that is pretty rad that I'm at all places to find something like this, Gen Con. But now it sounds like my friends who keep going there every year, because they're more into those types of games like the RPGs and the tabletop, well, the card games and the board games kind of thing. They're more into that than video games. They go there every year, and they always say there's some table with guys selling video games like you're at a video game convention. So it's starting to spread there too. So hell to the yes. Got to take the damn game out because that's going on my shelf because I'm stupid like that. Damn it, Chris. Get in there. Anyway. What's up, Nintendo? How's it going? There's a game that's still banned at Gen Con. Morton's List. Never heard of that. What's up, Completionist? How's it going? So that can go there. Next up we have, so this was one of the games that Radical Reggie texted me about as he was on his way to Metal Jesus' house to do a Hidden Gems video. And he was like, I think he did it twice, where he was like, look, I'm heading over to Jason's house, Metal Jesus' house to film this Hidden Gems video. And once we release it, it's going to get, all the games are going to go up in price. Here's the games we're going to talk about. And this was one of them. And I picked it up before it got super expensive. And that is Samurai Western. This is, I want to say, almost like a companion piece to Rising Zan on the original PlayStation, where it is like a 3D Western beat-em-up, but you have samurai swords and shit too. It is kind of weird. It is kind of fantastic. I'm super glad that I picked it up before the price jumped up. So thank you, Radical Reggie, for cluing me in onto it, because I did not know this game existed before he talked about it. There's a bunch of games I picked up because of him. So super thrilled that I was able to get that before eBay made it unbuyable for everybody. What's up, Retro Coob? It's really fun. It's like a 3D beat 'em up with guns and swords. It's kind of like what's it called? Red Steel without the motion controls, and it's not a first-person shooter. It's in third person. Pick this up at Half Price Books, dirt freaking cheap. Everybody, I'm saying like $2, and I still haven't played it. It's called Savage Skies. It is a flight simulator around like a dragon or something. I don't know exactly. Do you have what it takes to control an 80-foot dragon without becoming lunch? So picture, what is it? Panzer Dragoon or whatever, but you have like free roaming ability. It sounded kind of neat to me, so I picked it up. So yeah. This one I bought because why not? Got this at Game Dude. And it actually comes with the sticker. That's funny. I didn't realize it. I just saw in the back that it says it comes with a free skateboarding sticker. Peter, are you here? There's a skateboarding sticker in here you might want. The only thing is it's the Scorpion King Rise of the Acadian. So this was released to coincide with the release of the Scorpion King movie with The Rock in it, which I was not a big fan of. I thought he was okay in Mummy Returns, but like in his own movie, it was just kind of like a generic Conan ripoff kind of thing. But it's a 3D beat 'em up where you're playing as the Scorpion King. It follows the plot of the movie a little bit. But as you can see, the sticker right here, it says free Scorpion King skateboard sticker inside. And lo and behold, when I saw that, it's in here. Yeah, picked this up at the Game Dude when I was visiting my brother in California, in LA. So had to have it because licensed game. I have all the other Mummy video games. I have the Mummy for the PS1, the Mummy Returns for the PS2, and the Mummy Tomb of the Dragon Emperor for the PS2. So I had to get that because why not? Alice, if you don't like sell it a year later for twice the price, yeah, you love Rising Zan. Bought a new Rising Zan for like $20 in 2011. Yeah, I have a sealed copy of Rising Zan that I got off of eBay or Amazon or something. I don't remember, but I got it dirt cheap. Next up, we have Seek and Destroy, and I think this is the one that Jason gave me this from Corpse Flood Gaming when I went and visited. Was it back in November? I drove up to Minnesota to visit church. Jason had come down from Canada with his family because they were on their way to Florida for vacation to go to Disney World or Disneyland or whichever one it is out there. I don't remember. And then we did like a game trade because we're always, the three of us, always buying stuff for each other. And we usually will hand it off to each other at the Midwest Gaming Classic, but Jason hasn't been able to come to the Midwest Gaming Classic since COVID ended. So like we basically met up at Church's place and did the big trade that we were supposed to do. And this was one of the games that he had bought for me. And I still have not played it, but I think it's a strategy, 3D strategy type game. Like I don't remember asking him to buy this one for me. I think he just picked it up and just gave it to me because he didn't want it. So thanks. But yeah, I haven't played it yet. So yeah. Next up, I put this on my Diamonds in the Rough on the PS2 because it's a weird update to a movie. We have 7 Samurai 20XX or 2000XX. It is essentially the same plot as the 7 Samurai, which is the same plot as the Magnificent Seven, which is the same plot as Battle Beyond the Stars, where a bunch of people in a town or small town are being harassed by a bunch of like bandits or whatever. They're always coming and stealing their money and all their food and all that. So they send somebody out to go and find a bunch of warriors to protect the town from these people. And that's exactly what happens. So it's like in the future, and you live in like this steampunky kind of town, and like this motorcycle-y gang right out of Akira comes to like wreck shit, and your character beats them off at the beginning of the game, but you're eventually supposed to go out and like recruit all of these heroes to come back and help you defeat the bandits. And it is really, really fun. It's a 3D beat 'em up. It has a really cool combo system. You can see all the different characters that you're eventually going to recruit into your resistance force. It is really fun. It is really, really fun. And I knew nothing about this game. I picked this up at that disc replay place that was by my work, and it was like really cheap. I think I got this for like $7 or $8. And I was like, cool, 7 Samurai. I like the movie. I like all the movies that it inspired. Let's check out this video game version. It is really cool. Your character does what? What? What are you talking about? It is super rad. Next up, we have Jason gave me this. He sent this one to me, actually. It's Shadow Hearts. This is another RPG. I know nothing about this. I did not check it out when he sent it to me because I assumed that he did before he sent it to me to make sure that it worked. But, oh, my God. That thing is scratched to shit. But, yeah, RPG. I think this is like a series now or something. I don't know. But we got booty showing down there. Booty, booty, butt cheeks. Beat them off. Hell yeah. Don't know anything about it because he's just sending me one of the games he sent to me randomly. This one I found at Half Price Books, and I remember buying it. We got Shadow of Rome. This is a 3D beat 'em up where you're like in the Colosseum, just annihilating everybody, and eventually you break free, and you're I think you're trying to rescue. What was it? Welcome to the most brutal time in history. No time for remorse, no compassion in battle, no weakness in the enemy. What is it? Caesar has been executed and family honor has been shattered. It is so dark in here, I cannot read this. Your greatest fight will be the one for the truth. Gladiator combat, character switching, chariot races, ancient Rome. Yep. Super awesome looking. Beat 'em up. I played it a little bit to make sure it worked when I first got it, and I really need to spend more time. Beat it, beat it, beat it. And the S game's getting excited. I think I know which one you might be talking about. So this is another one where I caught people slipping on the interwebs. This is from Amazon. So Nintendo was talking about this franchise, which I love. I've played a couple of the games. I have a lot of games in the series. I've only played maybe 2. But I love it, love it, love it. I think it's a great franchise. I think it has a lot of unique things going on. It's an RPG, but it's also got like dating simulator, friend simulator kind of things, like social life simulator in it. It's weird, but I love it. But Nintendo specifically was talking about these 2 games in one of his videos, and I was like, I need to look for those because every time I see them, they're super expensive. So I go to, I think it was Amazon, and I go online, and there were sealed copies for sale in the marketplace area, and they were like $10 each. These games are a lot more expensive than $10. And we're talking Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga 1 and 2. They're still sealed, and I got these for like $10 each. I haven't played them because they're still sealed, but I love the Shin Megami Tensei series. I have so many games in this franchise. You have no idea. And I think, like I said, I think I played 2. But he swears by these 2. He says these 2 are some of his favorites in the entire series. But yeah, like RPG, social life simulator, awesome. I have to fart again. I hope you heard that. And then continuing that, this one just got a remake recently, and that is Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. And this one, I think Joel says, is his absolute favorite in this franchise. And the weird thing is, I got this at Game Dude, because I remember this pretty well. So, like I've said, Game Dude, the way that they work is they have, this place is just wall-to-wall games. Like, you can't touch any of them. They're all behind a glass countertop, and you have to, like, ask somebody to get you the game behind the counter so you can look at it or whatever. And if you want it, they'll put it aside for you as you continue to browse or whatever. So you know the prices by these sheets of paper available at the front door. Every console that they sell the games for has its own sheet of paper with every game released for it and the prices for them. There aren't variant prices if there is a variant available for a specific game. So they had 2 copies of this on the shelf. And I was like, hey, can I see those Nocturnes? And the guy goes, yeah, sure. And he gives them to me. And I pick one up, and I open it up. I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine. I pick the other one up. I'm like, why is this one so heavy? And I open it up, and this one turns out to be the limited edition one that comes with the soundtrack. And I go, oh. I look at the sheet. The sheet has no variant price. It is just Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. Here's the price, like $22 or whatever it was. And I was like, I'll take this one because it's the more expensive version and you're charging the exact same price than the other one. So I'll take this one. So I managed to snag it, and same kind of thing, RPG, a lot of monsters and demons and stuff like that. Hails to the yeah. And here is, well, I have it up here, I think. Yeah, I pushed it back because I'm a dope. Where are you? There you are. Found this at the exchange randomly, and it was before the prices on this went crazy too. Like I got really lucky when I got back into collecting because I was finding a lot of really cool stuff for like a fraction of the price because I don't know, people just aren't paying attention to eBay at these stores or not, or maybe they priced them and just left them alone and never repriced them. I don't know. But whatever. I got this limited edition version of Persona 3 on the PS2. It comes in the big outer box. It has this Art of Persona 3 book, hardcover, which even has inside of it the soundtrack. Get in there. Which is rad as hell. And it comes with, obviously, the game. Got it dirt cheap. So the only games I've played in this franchise are Persona 1 and Persona 2 on the PSP. So I have not gotten around to playing Persona 3 yet, but everyone tells me it is kind of fantastic. So absolutely thrilled to get my hands on this, or that I got my hands on this when I did, because I only paid like $20 for this. Something like that. Hells to the yeah. There's also like there's also a second version of that, which is like Persona 3 Fez, FES, which I need to get my hands on. And then the one that I think is the most well-known is Persona 4. I think this is the one that really sent the franchise through the freaking roof, because everybody loves this, especially the version that's on the Vita, which is more of the same. You've got like a bunch of monsters that you like bind to yourself, and you can bring them out in battle, kind of like spellcasting in a Final Fantasy game. You got your high school dating simulator thing going on. And this version also has a soundtrack inside. So, includes bonus disc. So, hells to the yes. But these are the ones that I bought at Gen Con. Or these are two of the ones that I bought next to Sakura Wars. At Gen Con, and I was like, what? Okay, I did not expect to find these, and these were also like $10 each. So I found Shining Force Neo and Shining Tears. So these are two RPGs in the Shining franchise, I guess, but they're like tactical. I think these are like strategy RPGs or action. This is an action RPG. This is a strategy RPG. Hard to remember. How do we get from... Because it's Shining. Shin Megami Tensei. Shin. I don't put these under Persona. I categorize them under Shin Megami Tensei. But I checked these out when I first got home from the convention to make sure they worked, and they did. So I have not played them at great length because RPGs, they take up a lot of time. Time I don't have. So pick these up. Really cheap. Oh. This I have played, and I prefer this to the... I talked about the other game, the one that came out after this, the follow-up, last week. But we're talking Shinobi, the remake of Shinobi, which kind of tried to do like the Ninja Gaiden Black remake thing that they did for that franchise. And this is an awesome 3D beat-em-up hack and slash. Absolutely love it. Especially this goddamn like scarf that the main character wears, and the way he like zips around and it follows you in the wind and all that kind of stuff. It is really impressive graphic design. I like it a lot. This is way better than Nightshade, the follow-up where you're playing as the female ninja. That one felt like an afterthought compared to this. But this one is a fantastic 3D beat 'em up. Also has a little bit of like Prince of Persia kind of going on in it. But Mondane, I think this is the one that you've been waiting to see. I don't know why. And it is complete, and I absolutely love this game and the game that came before it. Sylphie, The Lost Planet. Tell me, is this the one you've been waiting for because it's a working designs? I absolutely love this game. I love Sylphie on the Sega CD. It was one of my favorite shmups back in the day because it was so weird, and the graphics are stuff that I've never seen before, and the perspective was different. But this one is absolutely psychotic. Not only does it have that awesome metallic artwork all over, but man, the graphics in this game are absolutely insane. It is a horizontal or a vertically scrolling shmup, which is actually kind of like 3/4 view because you're kind of like going into the screen a little bit. Huge amount of fun I had with this one, and I do believe did I put this on my Diamonds in the Rough? I think I did, but I bought this back in the day on the name recognition alone from the Sega CD game. And I did not regret it. This game is absolutely fantastic. One of my favorite shmups on this console. Absolutely love it. The graphics are insane. But it's by Treasure. You got to know. Treasure's the goods. Treasure's one of my favorite developers of all time. I know this is definitely not the one that Mondane wanted to look for. Now when you're excited. Whoa now. Now you're confusing me. Are you a pod person? Are you the real Mondane? Because I'm confused. This is definitely not the one he was thinking about. Road Rage, Simpsons Road Rage. Yeah, this is the Grand Theft Auto. I think that, yeah, this is the Grand Theft Auto ripoff. I get confused between all the different Simpsons games that were like the car ones. There was Road Rage, and then there's the one that's like Crazy Taxi. And I have the Crazy Taxi one on the Game Boy Advance. Yes, because I was on a podcast talking about that game. It was the game deflators, and the host was talking about the main console version, and I was talking about the Game Boy Advance version because that's the only one that I had. But this one is the one that's like playing Grand Theft Auto in Simpsons in Springfield. Yay! And I think that's the one that was going like. There was a point in time when, before I got back into collecting, I just remember it was like in the mid to late 2000s where this game was going for over like $100. I don't know why. It might have been because Simpsons Mania had gone crazy because of the movie and all that. But for some reason, this became like a super expensive game for like no reason. And somebody told me about it and told me to look it up on eBay. And I got the hiccups all of a sudden. And I remember looking it up on eBay and going, what the hell? Like, where did this happen? Why did it, what? Huh? Has the world gone mental? Luckily, it came back down in price when I got back into collecting because I picked that up dirt cheap at Half Price Books. I picked this one up at the very first Midwest Gaming Classic I ever went to, and that was in 2016, I think. Yeah, 2016. No. Yeah, 2015, 2016, I don't know. Siren. This is a really expensive game now. I was watching Coach Shondo from the, what was the name of his group? Oh, God. He left the group. I don't remember what it was called. Shit. I don't remember. Well, Shondo, whatever. He plays nothing but survival horror games on Twitch now. And he was trying to speedrun this. And I watched him do a couple of playthroughs, and this game is absolutely crazy. But it's a survival horror game where you play as a whole bunch of different characters, and you're running away from like ghosts and stuff like Japanese horror, like the typical things you see in a Japanese horror movie, like the Japanese Ghost. But there's weird things, like someone will open up their shirt and they have like a face on their chest, like a full face, and they're crying. It is the creepiest shit ever. He plays like a little girl in one story. He plays an old man in another, and as a school teacher in one. It's really kind of crazy. And there was a sequel to this in Japan that we never got over here. But it is absolute craziness. And I think this picture down here of this face is actually the face that you see on the person's chest. It is nuts. I got that dirt cheap at the Midwest Gaming Classic, and now it's going for like a mint. Now we have Sky Odyssey. I picked this up at Half Price Books like for $1 or $2. It was dirt cheap, and it's like airplane racing. Yay. It was dirt cheap, like I said, so I picked it up. This is when I was trying to get as many games as I possibly could back into my collection just so I could have a collection. And I was buying anything that looked halfway decent, and that was one of them. Next up, we have Sled Storm, which I rented back in the day, but it was the PlayStation 1 version of this, which is not called Sled Storm. It's called Sled something else. If I only had a device that can tell me what games I have in my collection, that would be amazing. PlayStation. Sled Storm. So this is a sequel or a remake? I don't know. I didn't realize they had the same name. Anyway, it's a really awesome arcadey snowmobile racing game. And it has a really bitchin' soundtrack. I don't think it tells you what's on the soundtrack here, but the one on the PlayStation 1 had like Rob Zombie and stuff like that, which I loved. But yeah, this is, I guess, the updated version. Whatevs. Absolutely love that kind of arcadey racing stuff. Next up we have, I got turned on to this by Musty Hobbit. I miss you, Musty. Come back. At least to chit-chat with us. But it's Smuggler's Run. He was streaming this on Twitch one day, and I thought it looked really fun. Basically, you're like running illegal goods, and you're trying to, and like in the desert, and you're trying to avoid cops, and you do all these crazy stunts and like driving up hills and like doing crazy jumps and all that, trying to stay away from the cops. You get from point A to point B, like pick up your contraband, get to the destination without getting pinched by the fuzz kind of thing, and you go to all these different locations and keep on doing it, and it gets crazier and crazier. And I was watching him stream, and I was like, that is a lot of fun. This is a game that I've been ignoring. I do believe this was a launch game on the PS2 that I've seen it so many times when I was out game hunting, and I just ignored it. And then I watched Musty play, and I was just like, should have bought it. Should have bought it. It's super fun. Here's another one of these SNK collections. But this is all about arcade games, arcade classics. Number 1. Okay, don't have this the other one because it says there's volume 1. I don't have volume 2. So what comes on here? You've got Art of Fighting, Baseball Stars 2, Burning Fight, Fatal Fury, King of the Monsters, Last Resort, Magician Lord, which is one of my all-time favorite SNK, like Neo Geo games, Metal Slug, which is awesome, Neo Turf Masters, which is a fantastic golf game. That is probably, I think, one of the most expensive Neo Geo games right now. Samurai Showdown, Sengoku, Shock Troopers, Super Sidekicks 3, The King of Fighters 94, Top Hunter, and World Fighters. 16 games on one disc. Hells to the yeah. All the classic arcade games I used to see in the SNK arcade cabinets and all that kind of stuff. There's some winners in here. There's some stinkers in here too. But Magician Lord and Neo Turf Masters make it worthwhile. And I got to bring this down. So last week or the week before, I was talking about the game Lifeline that Konami released that requires the use of this headset. And you talk to characters in the game kind of like Seaman with his headset, and they were programmed to respond to certain phrases. The microphone, I didn't get the version of that game that came with the microphone. I got my microphone with SOCOM U.S. Navy SEALs. And when I got back into collecting, this was one of the first games I bought because I just happened to be putzing around on eBay, and I found this boxed version that came with the game and the microphone all complete. See the microphone up here. Yeah, come on. There you go. It's all tied up. And it comes with the little converter box and the plug that goes into your PS2. And you can use this for playing Lifeline also without having the Lifeline microphone. But this is an online only, as far as I know. Well, it says it has a one-player mode, so that's kind of cool. It's like a strategy, like squad shooter, but it's made to be played online. Which is where the microphone comes in. You get your friends online, you make your little squad, you go out and you do all these missions. Yeah. And that led to SOCOM 2 and SOCOM 3. And I think there's also a fourth one, but it's not a numbered sequel. It's like SOCOM something else. It's got like a subtitle. But more of the same. I know a lot of people played these. Obviously, they're obviously pretty popular. If they got multiple games in the franchise, they even went over to the PS3. But I've never actually played any of these because they're not online anymore. So, boo-hoo. But I picked them up because why not? And they're dirt cheap because they really can't be played anymore. So I said, what the hell? Woo! Okay, so next up we have Soul Calibur 3. Not my favorite game in this franchise. As, we got Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast. Absolutely loved it. Loved it. Got Soul Calibur 2 on all the major consoles. You got it on the the GameCube, and it came with Link as a character for that specific version. You got Heihachi in the PlayStation 2, and you got Spawn in the Xbox version. Fantastic game. Played that for hours and hours and hours. For some reason, when Part 3 came out, I really could not give a shit. I don't know why. I just didn't. I didn't buy it on day one. I bought it eventually. And then when I started playing it, I was just kind of like, has this game run its course? What's up, Red Sea? Nice. I have it on the Xbox and I think one on the PSP. We'll have to wait until those consoles. I talk about those on stream. Boop, boop. But anyway, yeah, for some reason, this one just rubbed me the wrong way. I did not like the new characters. There was that character with like the bladed hula hoop. And I was just kind of like, nah, she kind of sucks. And I just did not care. Did not care. I think I played this maybe 3 or 4 times after I bought it, and I never played it again. But obviously, Soul Calibur, awesome fighting franchise. But this one just did not do it for me. I don't know why. I just didn't. Could not care. Next up, we have one of my favorite games. I talked about this in the Dreamcast streams. But we have Soul Reaver 2, part of the Legacy of Kain series. I love Raziel as a character. I love these games he's in. I love the Legacy of Kain series itself. They need to bring this back. But it's a 3D platformer. It's kind of like playing Tomb Raider, but it's got more of a beat-em-up aspect to it. And horror, vampires, all that goodness. If you love horror, action, adventure games, this is for you. This franchise is for you. I absolutely love that. Need to make more games in that franchise or remaster the first one. I don't care. This is the only other game I think you could possibly be interested in, Mondane, that you've been waiting for. I don't know. This is the only other thing I can think of in the S's, even though I'm not going to be done with the S's tonight. We're going to have more next week. But Space Channel 5 Special Edition. We have Space Channel 5 on the Dreamcast. In Japan, they got a part 2. We did not get that over here. And I do believe both of them are on here. Yes, this is Space Channel 5. So you got 2 discs. I think you got the first game on one and the second game on another. And it's a rhythm game that is pretty fun. It's a little strange. It's mostly like playing Simon Says. So you're playing as Ooh La La, who is this reporter in outer space. Aliens are taking over this space station. Nope, really close. Damn it. It might be next week then. You go up against this alien character and it'll be like, do exactly what I do in the rhythm I do it. So they'll do like left, like move to the left, move to the right, and then shoot, shoot, shoot. And then you have to do it at the exact same rhythm they did it, the exact same moves. And you do like 3 or 4 back and forths like that, and then you'll defeat them. And then all the people that they have hypnotized, because the aliens are like hypnotizing all the people on the space station, all the people that they've hypnotized get freed and join your little entourage behind you. It's this weird 60s like aesthetic. The music sounds very 60s. It is fantastic. And eventually Michael Jackson shows up and joins your little troop. Doing the thing. Hell yeah. I absolutely love it. It's a fantastic game. Whew. There's actually a Space Channel 5. Yep, I do have that for the PSVR. And I have not been able to bring myself to play it yet because I will be doing moves I don't want to be doing. But I do own it. Next up, we have, I think, the most talked about game on Metal Jesus' channel that isn't a PC game. He has made videos about this game specifically. Why, I have no idea. But he has. He's talked about it in multiple like Hidden Gems videos, and then he did one where he was actually playing it on, he wasn't streaming it, but he like recorded himself playing it and made a video out of it because he was trying to turn people onto it. But that's Splashdown Rides Gone Wild. It's a what do they call it? Jet ski racing game, and it's kind of like playing Hydro Thunder a little bit, where you've got like these amusement park kind of tracks that you're going through, and they've all got hidden areas that you can unlock. And as you do laps through them, the levels start to change. Like you're in one that's dinosaur themed, and as you go, like a volcano will start erupting and change the way the landscape looks. It's really kind of cool. But like he talked about this quite a bit, and then I randomly found it at a half price books for a couple bucks, and I was like, well, let's roll this. It's actually not too bad. Do I think it's like this awesome wet dream game that he taught, that he makes it out to me? No, not really. It's okay. It's fine. I'd rather play Hydro Thunder, but it's pretty cool. Jason secretly has 10,000 copies. I would not be surprised that he hands them out as Christmas gifts. And then the final game I'm going to talk about tonight is Spy Fiction. This is another one of the games that Radical Reggie texted me about when he was going over to Metal Jesus' house to talk about Hidden Gems. So he was like, hey, dude, these are the games we're talking about at the video we're going to record tonight. Get them before we release the video, otherwise the price is going to go up. So I bought all the games that they were talking about, and this is actually kind of cool. It's an espionage, like a sci-fi espionage game. I haven't spent a ton of time playing it, but what I played was pretty fun, and they swear by it, so why not? So that is the final game I'm going to talk about tonight. I will be back on Thursday next week, 8:30 p.m. Central, for another one of these, the final PlayStation 2 stream, before I move on to another console to talk about. which will probably be the Game Boy Advance, I think. But I will also be back on Sunday night to do my monthly pickup stream. Going to have some really cool movies and video games to talk about. And that I've gotten some really cool stuff online this month in the way of, especially in the way of movies. I went searching online for unique stuff and I found some cool shit. How many games do I have? You want total or console? Like how many do I have for the PS2? Or how many I have total in my collection? But can name the game now. What is it? Let me look at my app to see what is left in the S's that I have not talked about tonight. I can't see anything that would make me go, ooh, Mondane. Super Bombad Racing? I don't think so. Total? I have almost 4,400 games in my collection. That's a lot of games. That's a huge backlog. Because I probably beaten 10 of them. But yeah, like I said, next Thursday, part 5, the final PlayStation 2 stream, 8:30 Central, Thursday night. Sunday night, I might start earlier because it's not a work day. It's not a school day. So I might start around 7 o'clock for the pickup stream on Sunday night. I shame you. Yep, I've been collecting since 2013. It's taken me a while to get this far. And the thing that still gets me, that I have that many games in my collection, and my place, I live in an apartment, it is not cluttered. Like it is nothing but space. I have everything placed in certain areas where my place is not cluttered. Like there's tons of space. I'm just smart about it, I guess. So thank you for coming and hanging out with me tonight, everybody. Spy Hunter, I have it on the Xbox. Are you talking about the one with the rock in it? Because I have the one with the rock in it on the Xbox. Spoiler alert. Yeah, thanks everybody for coming and hanging out with me tonight. I really appreciate it. Everybody super cool to chit-chat with so many cool people. Hell yeah. I will see you hopefully on Sunday, but definitely, hopefully, see you on Thursday next week. So have a great night, everybody. Stay safe out there. Chris, the old-ass retro gamer, out. Don't forget, not this upcoming weekend, the following weekend, that is, I do believe, the 13th. The 13th. Yes, the 13th. RPG, Tides of Flame, Dungeons & Dragons on my Twitch channel. Check it out. The night we're planning on doing this. So head over to my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/theoldassretrogamer.